China Academy of Chinese Medical Science. It's my pleasure to share our recently research about mineral herbs of realgar in COVID-19 pneumonia. And I will introduce why we're doing this. That's the background, and what have been we've been done before, and some results of our research and the prospect. As we know, since the 2019, the pandemic of COVID-19 begins, and now it's still we are still in pandemic. This is the statistic from WHO. So far, there are more than 6 million people died. And among them, 80,000 to 118,000 are medical works just till last year. So now the number is already beyond that. This is a paper just published in Science 1 week ago. They said new versions of Omicron are masters of immune evasion. And some colleagues think it should be named SARS-3. And just for this pandemic, no doubt the vaccine and the conventional medicine works a lot, but thinking about the development time of the vaccine and the medicine, even we have it about the equity and other kind of shortage. It's not enough just with vaccine and conventional medicine. So more medicines are needed to work together to protect our world. There are many traditional medicines, including Ayurveda medicine, chemotherapy, and the Chinese medicine. As a representative of traditional medicine, Chinese medicine has been used for infectious disease for more than 2,000 years. This is a timeline of the infectious disease theory developed. And at the beginning of our history, it's around 3,000 years ago. In the first medical books we found, then there already have acupuncture and prescriptions to treat cold or fever, and that's in Chinese medicine, it's infectious disease. And after several years several hundred years of development, it just 2,200 years ago, the famous Chinese classic books, we call it Shanghan Lun. If you learn Chinese medicine, you must know this. This is a special books for infectious disease. And it has a pathology and diagnosis and treatment. And in the following 1,000 years, the infectious disease theory developed in many ways, and we know different kind of infectious disease, especially with hot pattern or hot syndrome, because it's opposite to the cold pattern. And then we develop different kind of ways to diagnosis and treat them with different kind of interventions, also include prevention. And then we come to the modern times when East meets West, because before that, only Chinese medicine in China, no Western medicine. And in modern days, with the help of Western medicine or conventional medicine and the technology, we developed different kind of ways of TCM diagnosis and treatment, and also developed some new drugs. That's Chinese medicine help us have the biggest population in the world. And one of the examples that Chinese medicine control with infectious disease is artemisinin to treat malaria. This is Professor Tu Youyou. She is our colleague when I was in graduate school. I always met him in the Institute of Chinese Herbal Medicine. She wins the Nobel Prize for the contribution of developed artemisinin. This is the artemisia. We call it Qinghao in Chinese. And this is the drugs developed from the artemisinin. And Qinghao is the most commonly used to treat malaria in ancient time. By the way, during Professor Tu develop it, they couldn't find the right way to prepare it. How can they deal with this problem? They back to the ancient books. This one is a handbook of prescriptions for emergencies around 1800 years ago. In this book, they find the right way to prepare the artemisinin. So that's the contribution of Chinese medicine to the world. And even during this COVID-19 pandemic, there are more than 91.5% of patients in China get the treatment of Chinese medicine. And simultaneously, there are many hundreds of research have been done. It's about basic research, translational research, preclinical and clinical researches to confirm the effect and the safety of Chinese medicine to dealing with COVID-19. So here's comes the question. Can we find more drugs like artemisinin for infectious disease? I think the answer is sure, because there are more than 23,000 ancient TCM classic books. And many colleagues or researchers set up different kind of database. Oops. This one is a database we developed by ourselves. That's Chinese herbal medicine for prevent and treat influenza, and others are the database developed by other researchers. And now we can use the data science. I think it's a new way for drug research and development. And already, many colleagues already use this. This is a paper that we published last year. It's just the idea that finding the prevented herbs for infectious disease from ancient TCM data. This is the flow chart. We screened two databases. One is encyclopedia of TCM, and the other is the database I mentioned before we developed by ourselves. It's for influenza. And we find, this is the results. We find no matter for the single herbs or for the prescription, Xionhuang, that's realgar, is the most commonly used one. So we want to continue our research to see what's the effect and the history of real. This is a history. For the first Chinese medical books I mentioned, it's around 3,000 ago. It already showed the realgar to treat infectious disease. And after that, you see the orange points. There are different kinds of prescription and different kinds of ways to use realgar.
抱歉，连接有点问题，请过会儿再试。
Sorry, Siri. And you can see we have these pills, and we have tusuwan. Actually, tusuwan is still commonly used in China just during this season, because 2 weeks later we have Dragon Boat Festival, and this season is the outbreak of infectious disease. So many places, especially in southern China, they took tusuwan for prevention. And also we use powder and other kinds of usage to use realgar for prevention and treatment. And in the modern time, you see, it enlarged the treatment of different disease. And this is our former Health Ministry of China professor and Dr. Chen Zhu. He just developed this kind of prescription, including realgar, to treat acute leukemia. And also other doctors, conventional medicine doctor and Chinese medicine doctor, doing research and developed other kind of drugs for include realgar to treat different kind of cancer. Only in China, we have the history and use of realgar, but also in the Europe, this is the canon of medicine by Avicenna. And also in Ayurveda, in Indian medicine, they also have the effect of realgar. But for COVID-19 and other respiratory infection, we still needs to be explored. And that's the research we're doing to explore what's the mechanism and the effect of realgar may have for treating COVID-19 pneumonia. And the first step, we're doing data collection. Can you see, this is the realgar, and we use these 4 kinds of database to find the active ingredients. And then we simultaneously, we finding the targets of COVID-19 as well, and put them together and build the protein and protein interaction network, and just focusing on the co-targets, and then doing some enrichment of net pharmacology study. And this is the ingredients we find from realgar, from the 2 database. And then with the 4 ingredients, we find that realgar has 176 targets. And then compare with the more than 2,000 targets related to COVID-19 pneumonia, we put them together and to get 64 targets they all have. And then we're doing some research and find the co-targets. There are 8 co-targets we find. And the last step, we're doing the gene oncology enrichment analysis. And this analysis is related to the gene and categorized by different kind of function, including biological process, cellular components, and the molecular function. These are the targets that we find and match these 3 kinds of functions. And the last, we also do another KEGG enrichments. This is to find the pathway that the realgar may have. So these are the 3 kinds of pathway it may have. The first one is a signaling transduction, like TNF signaling pathway, and for immune response, toll-like receptor signaling, for example. So here comes the conclusion. The potential mechanism of realgar in COVID-19 pneumonia may be related to regulate the immune system and inflammatory response. And it could be a potential drug for COVID-19 pneumonia. But that's the first step we're doing to explore. And in the next step, we need more experimental and clinical research to confirm our exploration. And for the future, like I said before, for COVID-19, realgar is not only used in Chinese medicine, but also used in other traditional medicine for a long history. It needs worth to re-explore for control of COVID-19 and other pandemics. And it's interesting. This is the article review that introduced the different kind of traditional medicine and the application of mineral drugs like realgar. And this is just published several days ago that an Indian doctor developed this kind of arsenic prescription to improve the immunity in Indian. I'm not sure, Dr. Sharma, is that true? And
well,
yeah, maybe later we can discuss.
Yes.
And for its mineral drugs, many people are worried about the side effects. That's the reason why it seems abandoned already. But in our research, we saw in the ancient time, the Chinese medicine doctor, maybe in your countries, they already noticed that realgar doesn't, the side effect of realgar can be avoided by the different kind of application, like it can use by as sachet, or using the plaster, or use as a spray to avoid intaken side effect. So that may be one of the way in the future to use mineral drugs. Thank you for the funding support, and also thank you for our small research team and the writer of this abstract, Dr. Hao and Dr. Li. And I also want to use this opportunity to introduce our educational programs. Here is a short video.
When we announced the open enrollment of our international advanced training course of traditional Chinese medicine, hundreds of doctors from different countries expressed their interest. So, let's go and have a look. Since the launch of our project in 2017, there have been more than 80 healthcare professionals from 18 countries join this marvelous journey. We hope to make the world healthier by introducing the latest clinical and research progress of TCM and sharing safer and more effective therapies with our colleagues in the global arena. Our course includes lectures, seminars, practice, site visits, and more. In the early morning, we practice Tai Chi and Da Duan Jin to start the adventure with peace and joy. During the presentation, integrative medicine and TCM experts from different countries introduced the most recently development of TCM. During the seminars, participants share the status of integrative medicine and TCM in their respective countries and their vision for the future. During practice, participants discussed about different aspects of TCM therapies and visited modern TCM hospitals in Beijing to experience some unique treatment in acupuncture, cupping, massage, and scraping. Through site visits to Medical History Museum, the Museum of Chinese Medicine, and various modern TCM pharmaceutical factories, participants learn about the ancient and modern aspect of TCM. They also visited the National Museum of China, the Temple of Heaven, and the Great Wall to appreciate the depth and breadth of Chinese culture. In addition, they went to the Guqin concert, watched the Chinese opera, and played Diabolo to enjoy the beauty and harmony of Chinese art. Unfortunately, COVID-19 pandemic forced us to suspend our course after 2019. However, all alumni and faculties stayed in touch and launched the See You and Victory event. We prepared protective equipment and shared experiences in the prevention and treatment of COVID-19. Our TCM prevention recommendations were sent to alumni all over the world with donations. We look forward to the victory and relaunch of our cause.
Our program is really a magic journey, not only for Chinese medicine, but also for conventional medicine and other medicines. Colleagues of different medicines all over the world come to our academy, CECMS. We learn from each other, inspire and improve each other. For no medicine is perfect. All medicines should work together for better health and wellness.
Chinese medicine and its continuous development over the last several thousands of years have helped safeguard the health of 1/5 of the world's population. Two most notable examples are acupuncture, with its ever-expanding clinical applications beyond pain control, and Chinese herbal medicine, from which the world has benefited with the development of artemisinin for malaria. It has been my mission the last few decades to create a safer, more cost-effective, affordable, and accessible health model by blending the best of Chinese medicine with the most innovative aspects of modern medical development through our work at the UCLA Center for East-West Medicine.
我爱中医，
我爱中医，
我爱中医，我爱中医，
我爱中医，
我爱北京。
我爱北京和中国。
I love everything.
This journey will be continued. Would you like to join us?
And this is sponsored by our Ministry of Technology of China. And thank you, Amy, for making this video. And also, this is the website of our program. And thank you for your attention and show our respect to our medical staff during the pandemic. Thank you.